with us. And I'm Lindsay Raymond of the KBRO, and with me is my dearly beloved,
handsome,
so you know,
Chucky Ray.
Chucky Ray. All right, we've got a great show lined up for you. We're going to let the room fill up a little bit. We've got a great bunch of people in already.
Oh, yeah, let me put so Lindsay likes to say hi.
I will.
And then we'll bring our guest on. But before we say hi, I'm thrilled and we are very thankful for my good friend Jeff Waldridge to come on the show tonight. There's a lot of people you can have on a show that, do podcasts or strictly a keyboard warrior, if you will. But Jeff is complete opposite. He is a authentic, boots on the ground researcher. He's been doing it as long as I've been doing it, almost 3 decades in Kentucky. So none other than Jeff Waldridge will be on the show. I'm pumped about that.
It is a great guest. Jeff did a presentation for us at one of our expeditions a few years ago.
Yeah, Taylorsville Lake.
It was fantastic.
Yeah,
he's such he's got a way with words, and he's got some great evidence to share too. So it's going to be a good night, guys. Before I get on to welcoming everybody in the chat, and there's a few comments in there, wonderful. I just want to acknowledge one of our Sasquatch friends, Bigfoot researchers, Hannah Burko Violet. I'm so sorry, Hannah, you lost your husband Scott this week, and it's very tragic news, and I know it was very sudden. So there's a lot of people grieving at this time, and you have our deepest condolences. So I'm very sorry for that. We are thinking of you. And then you want to do the thing at the end?
Oh, no, I can do it now. Lindsay's excited because Lindsay likes to create. She's very creative, and she comes up with new merch in our shop. So she's got this new Halloween line of Bigfoot merch. So let me just share this real quick. Monster Squatch. But yeah, you can see there's a puzzle, right?
Oh, that's a jigsaw.
Jigsaw, yeah.
Ladies' t-shirt, because there's not enough of those out there.
Yeah, it looks neat. I like it.
Scroll down. There's literally about 150 items, Halloween items in the shop now, and I've got a little bit more to pump out, but we're kind of hitting a limit. But there's some really great stuff in there. I'm a little bit biased. I think I said that last week because I created all this stuff and I really love it. But check it out. There's some really good stuff. There's some cool merch, and there's some really good gifts as well.
I like the full size. This is kind of a thing now. I've noticed that this full size. Can I make that larger? Yeah. These shirts with large prints on them is kind of a trend now.
Turn it around.
I don't know how to turn it around.
You have to scroll.
Oh, well, if I scroll, it goes down.
Go back. Go back.
I don't know how to. You do it.
There.
Oh.
There's back.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
But there's a ton on there, and we'll share the link.
It's Hidden Realm Outdoors, guys.
Here, I'll share it now.
Okay, go ahead.
So that's why when you guys are listening, you can also, as you're listening, maybe look through the collection there.
I think we've probably got the biggest collection of Bigfoot Halloween gear available.
All right, I just shared it, I think, in the chat. There he goes. All right, so let's remove that. All right, so
hold on. Let me go through the thing.
Oh, she wants to say hi to everybody.
All right, let's see who we've got in the chat, and then we're going to get
going. So do it this way again. Say their name, and at the very end say, hello, everybody.
All right. Hey, Lane. It's good to have you with us. I can't do that. Matt's back. Hello, Matt. Welcome. Hey, Lane, really happy that you signed up for that thing in the November. What was the date again? November the 14th, down in Beattyville. Bigfoot. Yes, you do. You're speaking and presenting at it.
Oh.
Bigfoot Boone Campout.
Oh, it's yes. I'm sorry. At first, I thought you were talking about Cryptidcon, which I know Jeff will talk about Cryptidcon coming up. But there's another one in Beattyville. It's a little Bigfoot campout. What date is it?
I think it's the 4th. For us, we'll be there on the 14th.
The 14th. There's a Bigfoot hunt. You camp, bring a tent. It's a smaller type fun.
And campfire stories.
Yeah, bonfire, all the things. But you could find it on our Facebook page.
Yeah. Anyway, distracted there. So where was I? Jim's here. Hey, Jim. Angela's back. Welcome, Angela and Mary. Hello. Greg's here. Hey, Greg. Let's keep going. Judy's here. Hey, Judy.
Judy and Greg.
There's been a lot of chat here.
Brian Archibald.
Debbie Hall. Welcome, Debbie.
Brian, you've got to come to the Gorge this fall. Plan a trip. Let me know when you bring the family or the wife.
Yeah, I think we do need to meet you, Brian, because Charlie's always making a point of calling you out. So I think it's time you made a visit down to the Red River.
Brian's one of the few people that I enjoyed hanging out with when we taught at our school there, and we had the same personality. We both act like middle schoolers, so we got along great.
Oh, not dad jokes.
Yeah, a lot of dad jokes.
Brian. All right, Buddy Isaacs. Hey, Buddy. Kentucky Bigfoot's here in the house. MH4. Hello. There's Brian. Balloon Poppers. Hello.
I like that.
That's
Balloon Poppers.
Nice. I've not seen you here. So, hi, this Ridge Farmer. Hello. All right. We're done.
Okay. So, welcome everybody again. And we're going to bring Jeff on 1 second here. But again, Jeff has been doing this for over 25 years. And I met Jeff way back. We had a mutual friend, Philip Spencer. He unfortunately has passed away. Did a lot of research in the Fraser land. And that's how I met Jeff. It was through Philip. And Jeff and I have been squatching a lot in the Fraser land. And Jeff goes there. He lives there basically, so he can go anytime he wants. We have a longer drive now. We have about an hour and a half drive to get there. But anyway, Jeff's got a lot of stories, a lot of experience. So let's welcome Jeff to the stage. And it's just going to be an avatar picture because Jeff is only doing audio. Right, Jeff?
Yeah, it's just where I am, and the service is not that great, so it's best to just to create no issues. It's best just to do audio. I've learned.
All right, that's good.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. I mean, because all we are talking heads. There's nothing that we do that's exciting except my big head. So it doesn't really matter actually.
Right.
So Jeff, I'll let you start anywhere you want to start. Anything you want to bring up first. This is your show. Do you want to share stories? Anything, any projects coming up? Anything you want to start out with? You're welcome to pick something.
Oh, that's $1 million question. There's always project. I want to thank you all for having me on, and I know we had talked about doing it once before, and you were still under the weather with, glad to see you on the mend as far as that stuff goes. But I guess the biggest thing to kind of get started is I research about every weird phenomenon you could imagine. And it's not just cryptids, it's not just ghosts, it's a little bit of everything. And I've always done that. And I've done that ever since I could pick up a book and read. There wasn't as many sources then. The internet didn't even exist. I know that's unusual for people, but the internet wasn't always a thing. And I know Charlie remembers those days where you had to actually go find a book and you had to actually read. But it's I think those days are lost, and I think that's one of our biggest problems is everybody reads regurgitated information on the internet, and they don't do a lot of on the ground research. They don't do a whole lot of reading old books and original research. So I think that's where that is back to research. I think if you're just reading what somebody else has wrote 155,000 times, I mean, you're not making any advances if you're not out there looking at things.
Yeah.
I'm all out there in the moment.
You're breaking up a little bit. Yeah, we lost a little bit of what you said. You know, it's important to read, you know, from the source. Like you said, check out the books and read the original sources. What's one thing that got you started, though, Jeff?
I would have to say the old TV shows, you know, like Unsolved Mysteries and Sightings and In Search Of and things like that. I mean, those shows were out there, and they would give you just a little taste of something. You know, they may not give you the full story, they may not show you everything, but it was just little flavors. And then you know, in some libraries you did have very minimal books on creatures and UFOs and things. There was not a lot, but you could get enough just to kind of, you know, wet your taste buds a little bit, and then that kind of got you hungry. So that's kind of what got me started.
Now, were you born in Kentucky?
Yeah, born and raised in Kentucky. I've been here forever.
So when was your first like actually investigation where you went out into the woods?
So, you know, as far as having like solid research places, that's hard to say. You know, I would roam the woods when I was a child. I would roam around a lot and look at things and just learn. But as far as having like solid established research places, I mean, that was maybe 10 years ago or something.
Yeah. What about when you met Philip Spencer?
The way that came about was he was doing his Wild Man in Kentucky, whatever the documentary was, and he wanted to interview me about Howdy, the Cedar Brook Howdy. And so we talked about that, but I'd known Philip Spencer for a little while because I actually went to school with his son, Travis. And so I knew of him for quite a long time. And then, you know, and man, I'll tell you, I think that with Philip Spencer's research and things, that is a whole of information that we lost. And, you know, I don't know how much of it still exists. I don't know where it is exactly. I've talked to this person or that person, but man, he worked a lot in this area. And that's kind of what I based my areas of trying to find research. So like, for instance, when I do, and I look into an area, I don't necessarily go where a sighting was. Maybe you can't get on that property or something like that. So what I'll do is I work almost like a detective because I'm retired law enforcement. And so I'll kind of put pins in a map, and then I'll say, well, where can I go in this area? Because they're not going to just stay in one small plot of land. You know yourself, things travel. So, I mean, you know, it's you don't necessarily have to say, well, I'm going to only go down here and to the Patterson-Gimlin site, and it's the only place I'm going to stand. No, because they're going to move. You know, creatures of this size, they're not going to stay put just in, you know, 2 or 3 mile radius. I mean, you know, they may bed down there, but they're still going to get out there and move. So I started to look at areas around there in that original Fraser land, in that original sighting area. And I established, you know, 2 or 3 spots that I could go to. And you've been to most of them with me. And it's, you start to kind of it's kind of like fishing. You just cast your reel out there and see what you can come up with. And sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't. So it's kind of experimenting.
Yeah.
Have you done any out-of-state research, Jeff? Matt Langford is asking, have you ever researched Texas and other hotspot states? So anything out of the
Yeah,
country?
I've read about all of those places. I've been to all of the states for paranormal reasons, not necessarily creatures, but yeah, I've researched every one of the areas. Whether it be Texas or Florida or whatever the case is. I mean, I have pretty good knowledge about all of the state sightings and their creatures. And I tell you what really astonishes me is every little community, they'll have a name for it. And they may not call it Bigfoot, they may not call it Sasquatch, but they'll have a name for it. The thing, howdy, different things. So that's one thing that really, really excites me is this creature is embedded in their folklore.
Mm-hmm.
In Kentucky, I know you've investigated a lot of encounters and interviewed witnesses. Are there a couple that stand out to you that you can share?
Yeah, I think that some of those you were there with me. I think the lady down there close to down there close to the Taylorsville Lake area. I think, man, that was a credible witness to me. I think what I look for in witnesses is I look for how easily their story is told. And, it's not really rehearsed, but it's a memory. You can really tell usually, and I've done tons of interviews just when I was working in law enforcement, and you can tell when it's a memory versus when it's something that they've cooked up in their brain. And memories are they never change. They may vary slightly, but it's like it's a reflection of something they experienced. And I'll tell you, one that, man, that just always stuck out in my mind, and you gave me the privilege of meeting him in person for the first time, was Lynn Hutton. And that story, he's told that story for years, and it never changes. I mean, it's always, and it really kind of, he will tell it, but he's not so open to tell it. He's not looking to tell it. You have to kind of find him. And then his son will not talk about it at all. So, I mean, that kind of shows you when there's an emotional connection to a story that, people get traumatized by things.
Yeah. Yeah. Lynn Hutton, he told his, I think in the Phillips documentary.
Yep.
First, you interviewed him, right?
Well, he did. I think he did Philip Spencer's. He was on that Hillbilly Beast episode of Monster Quest, and he's only told his story publicly a couple of times. You called it one time for YouTube, I believe.
Yeah.
But man, he's one that you have to find him. He's not just out there going around the country telling his story, but his story is he had a sighting and a contact within about 15 foot, maybe. Yeah.
Now, see, my memory is not great. I remember he was bow hunting with his son.
Yeah.
And he came out of like a cedar thicket, and a Bigfoot had come out the opposite side, and they stood face to face.
Yeah, so they basically ran into each other. So they were bow hunting. It was bow season. They were bow, and I want to circle back to that bow hunting thing in a second, but they were bow hunting and they were leaving for the day, if I remember right. And they walked out. It's kind of like they walked into each other. And he said that the creature was just as shocked that it seen them as it seen it, and they just it was kind of like a standoff for a second. And he had a pistol in his coveralls that he kind of put his hand on, which he wasn't supposed to have, but luckily he probably did. And he said that it just kind of backed right back in the woods, but it followed him all the way out. And he said there was only one thing it could be. I mean, he was so close to it, he could see what it was. But I mean, to this day, it's his description never changes. His story never changes. And it's almost like you wish you could plug into a witness's mind and see it with their eyes. I mean, that would be amazing. But going back to the bow hunting thing, you get a lot of sightings around bow season because, there's not a lot of guns out there. It makes you wonder if they can't smell, the gunpowder and things like that, or if they don't know what those devices do. They don't necessarily may not know what it is, but they may know what it's capable of from being in the woods and seeing things. But bow season seems like hunters have a lot of experiences.
Yeah, I agree. Do you remember that encounter? It wasn't Kentucky. I just remember one part of the encounter. A guy was in his tree stand, full camo, and a Bigfoot walked up under his tree stand and reached up and touched the tip of his arrow.
And touched the arrow. Yep, I remember that. I'm trying to think where that was, but he was in his tree stand, and it was starting to get daylight. I don't think it was daylight yet, so he couldn't really. He thought it was a bear, I believe, at the bottom, if I remember right. And he said that as it got daylight, he kind of, he was like, "Oh wow, what is this?" And then it reached up and it touched his tip on his arrow. And it's like they're curious. I'll tell you, and this is something that I've always fed into this theory, and I forgot who had this theory, but it was one of the older scientists that had this theory that maybe there were some autistic traits in these creatures, because he said that a lot of the sightings, they're always moving. They're always moving their hands. They're always messing with grass. But it's not a disability for them. They use it to their advantage, where it's heightened sense of everything. And like almost like the Rain Man phenomenon, where he was really good at numbers. Well, Bigfoot, of course, is going to be really good at whatever it's in, but it's always fidgeting with things. It's always moving around. It's strange when you start to read some of these accounts and look at some of these stories. And when you're asking witnesses this, you don't necessarily look for the big picture. I always love hearing the little details, because the little details are something they can't make up if it's something that they witnessed. And, it's crazy when you read the historical accounts of Bigfoot, because they were seeing ape-like behavior in these Bigfoot sightings way back in the day, way before they seen it in ape. So it makes you, it kind of makes your ears perk up. It gives you a little bit of confidence on, well, now what's going on.
Yeah, one of the common ones, when people see a Bigfoot at a distance, say next to a tree, it's swaying back and forth.
Yeah.
Like a gorilla.
And we've talked about that, and I swear, I think that they have the ability, based on what Cliff Brackman said about their hair, and the late Dr. Jeff Meldrum about hair. I think that they try to use their hair and that shimmer ability that their hairs are supposedly have as a cloaking or almost like a camouflage, where they're moving and they're trying to move with the wind, and maybe you don't necessarily think you've seen what you saw, and it may give them just enough time to kind of go away. And one thing that drives me insane is people are like, well, there can't be a Bigfoot in Kentucky. Well, that you've never been in the woods in Kentucky. We basically live in a jungle. We live in a jungle, and it is so thick. And yourself from being out there in one of the spots we go to, some of those weeds and things are 10 to 12 foot tall. So you can't see a foot in front of you. So you don't know what's there. I mean, if it's quiet, if it's stealthy, if it's not going to move, which, they have a pretty good ability to lay low, it looks like. Well, then who knows?
Speaking about one of those spots that you go to, Crazy Backyard Chicken Man, I feel like I should know you.
This is the chicken lady. This is the crazy chicken lady here.
I feel like we should be friends. I used to fish the Taylorsville Lake area, where the river starts to lake. Something was throwing pebbles at me most of the night. When was that? What year roughly was that?
And that's, as Jeff, is he talking about the Salt River?
Oh yeah, that's Salt River that runs into the lake. So that's that's there's a lot of sightings down there for that. Yeah. So I mean, that's, and I honestly think that the creatures out there are a little more aggressive, just from the sightings that we've heard. But I also think that they're aggressive because that could be an area where they bed down. And they could have younger ones or something out there, because a lot of the sightings out in that area, it's almost like they're trying to get you away from things. Yeah. I've had rocks thrown at me in the river, a big one time. I didn't see what threw it. I just heard it. I mean, that area is something else. I mean, I honestly think out of all the areas that are close by, if you have the potential to get something solid, that's one of the areas that you could do it. But the problem is it's so large and it's so vast and it's so so rugged that I don't encourage anybody to go out there looking around in areas that they don't know, because you know yourself, we found ourselves at the bottom of a creek and I had a busted ankle one night. So, yeah. the woods are not safe all the time.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah. That was, I think that was over by Tom Shea's spot.
Yeah. It was in Trimble County. It was, that was a night I will never forget. And I always feel it when it starts to get cold outside.
Really? Wow. You didn't break it. You just sprained it really bad.
Yeah, I tore and stretched everything. The doctor said that they said, you wished you would have broke it because we could have fixed it quicker. And it's going to take longer to heal now. But what a night.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, memories.
But like you said, always be careful when you guys go out at night.
I don't encourage anybody, and nobody should go out to the woods at nighttime without first going out in the daytime and scouting the area, because those woods are dark. There's not a lot of light. You could drop off a cliff and not even know it's there. You could fall into a cavern or anything. So you got to be safe. Don't just go out there thrill seeking. You really got to scout these places out, look at the terrain, and see where you can safely be.
Yeah, I agree. Or make sure you stay on the trail. If there's a trail there, just stay on it. Make sure we use red headlamps, but some people use white, but that's okay. But make sure you can see where you're going. Always have a partner. Don't go alone.
Have you seen a Bigfoot, Jeff? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
I think that I filmed one once. But it's one of those situations where it was a blob squatch and it was off at a distance, and I will never claim that it is anything, because it's nothing I can present. I think I've been within probably 50 yards of one just by simple, smell and things like that. But the problem is, I think if they don't want to be seen, that they're not going to be seen. Mm-hmm. You got to think these are the masters of the woods. It's and one thing that I think that the general public forget is pop culture likes to paint this beautiful picture of Bigfoot being a nice, furry, friendly creature. Well, these things are feral. They're feral creatures. Although they may be highly intelligent, they're still wild. And, they could take your life within a second. And that's why you got to be careful. You got to respect their territory. You got to, if it's a situation where you don't feel like that you need to be where you're at, then you probably need to back out. Because we don't know everything about what these creatures are capable of. There's infrasound, there's all kinds of things, and something that large, it could literally just break a person in half. So, and one thing that a lot of eyewitnesses say is they say they wish they never would have saw it. I've heard that a couple of times from people.
Yeah,
and they said that that it literally changed their life when they saw it, because it's something in the facial features and the eyes, and I think it's just because it's too similar to something that they don't understand that's there. And I think they're right there in pop culture thinking, oh, well, it's a funny, friendly creature. And then they see it and they're like, oh, I don't want to be anywhere near this thing.
I know. I'm afraid if I ever come face to face with one, I would stop researching.
No, you wouldn't.
Oh yeah, I will tell you this. There has been a time in the woods I was by myself, and something was vocalizing very close to me, and I don't know what it was still to this day. I don't want to say it was Bigfoot because I couldn't see, but it was something big. It definitely wasn't any animal I've heard before in the woods. And I questioned myself after that. I was like, is this stupid? Am I going out here and I'm going to get myself murdered in the woods? Because people go missing all the time. I mean, you don't know what happened to them. They just go missing. You don't ever find them. But I mean, it's dangerous. I mean, not only for what you're looking for, but there are animals out there that will absolutely attack you in the woods, that they are on you before you know they're on you. You get into a pack of fox, you get into a bunch of coyotes, which, coyotes down there, where one of the places we go, it's nothing for them to be 20 or 30 deep. You can hear them everywhere. So, I mean, it's just, you've got to be aware of everything, not just what you're wanting to find, but everything else as well.
Yeah. The time you said that you were by yourself and you heard something that was not recognizable near you, how far away were you from your vehicle?
Oh, probably 300 yards at least, maybe further. I mean, yeah. I was far enough where I knew that once I got to the top of this hill where it had just vocalized, once I got to the top of that hill, it's an open flat. So it is an open flat piece of land. You have no coverage. And if something's going to ambush you, that's where it's going to happen, because you're at a total disadvantage. And I won't run from anything in the woods, because you don't want to run from an animal, because that triggers their natural chase mechanisms that a lot of them have. But, I was very uncomfortable walking out into that opening, because, if I'm going to be ambushed, that's it. That's where it's happening.
Yeah, that's scary. And to be by yourself too.
Yeah, that's not the smartest idea to ever do, but sometimes I like to do that sometimes because it's a vulnerability, but I won't do that in areas that I'm not comfortable with. But I like to do that sometimes because it makes you vulnerable. And I've had a little more results with just hearing things and stuff like that, because I think if you're vulnerable, there's a good chance that you might have some luck.
Yeah. What do you think a Bigfoot is?
That's $1 million question. I don't know. I don't know that it's. I would think it's some type of ape, but I don't know that it's something that we haven't always had. That's just kind of gotten good at what it does. I don't think that they're all the same. I think that you have different types based upon where you're at, and you can kind of see that with the sightings. The swamp ape's different than the Bigfoot out in Washington. The ones in Kentucky sometimes are a little scrawnier than the ones in other areas. So I think that I think it all just depends on where you're at. But I don't. I'm more of a fan of the ape part of things. But I'll tell you something that's crazy is some of the woo, per se. I don't know. So that sounds crazy too. So, I mean, I don't think until we have a specimen that science can actually figure out, that we'll understand, because you got to think some of these creatures, for instance, the platypus, if you describe that to a person and they didn't know it was real, well, then they would tell you were nuts. They'd say there's no way that this animal has all these traits and then it's venomous. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, until you know what it is, everything's going to look supernatural when it may just be something that it's able to do.
Right.
So you touched on the woo a little bit. So are you? I'm taking from that you're not in the woo camp.
I'm open to everything, but some of that stuff gets a little crazy.
Right. What are your
You know,
thoughts on
some of it's a little far fetched. I'm not against that camp, but you know, I'm also I try to be logical about things. So I mean,
Right.
they can't have traits that's probably not possible. You know, we're not living in Star Trek or something here. So teleportation and things, you got to show me proof that we can do that first.
Good.
But you know, as far as them being aliens, I mean, who knows? A ship could have dropped them off at some point and said, "Hey, you live here now." But I mean, I think some of the woo is a little out there, but I think some of the woo could also be misunderstandings of what they're actually capable of doing.
Right. And I think that's a valid point too, that we don't dismiss something just because we don't understand it or know everything that there is to know about it. What do you think about?
You got to think like this before we move to the next thing is if you said, well, there is, you know, like if you described a person to somebody that had never seen a person and some of the stuff that they're capable of and some of the stuff that we can do, well, then they may not be able to believe that. So, I mean, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. But I think some of the woo stuff may just be misunderstood traits of what their abilities are.
Have you had any experience with lights in the woods or orbs? That's a question.
Those are weird. I've seen blue lights in the woods. I was out in the woods in West Virginia not too long ago when there was lights out there when there shouldn't have been lights. I don't know what that is, but I've seen in the woods down there by the lake before what looked like a car turning around in the middle of the woods, like how the headlights go through the woods. And there was not a place where a car could be. So, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you encounter weirder things in the woods, and it's almost like you expect to look over and you and Bigfoot looking at each other going, what was that? Because, I mean, you know, you see some strange things out there.
There is strange things in the woods.
And I think that's where some of your Native American folklore comes from.
Yeah.
I know Philip Spencer talked a lot about the Fraserland, orbs, large cats, all kinds of crazy things. It wasn't just Bigfoot. Even gosh, who's your good friend? Oh gosh, she's a teacher too. She's his wife. Who's the big guy that plays Bigfoot at Cryptidcon?
Oh, Wes. Yeah. So yeah, like there's so much. Here's the crazy thing that I've seen, and look, everybody goes after the popular cryptids. But the one thing that a lot of people don't focus on, which I think if somebody really focused hard on, that they could make some breakthroughs on, are those big cats in this area, in Kentucky and Tennessee and West Virginia and all those areas. I think if a researcher focused on that type of research, I think that you could really make some headway there. The problem is that the government will not admit that they're there because of whatever reason, but they will not admit that these cougars and things like that are in the area. They'll be like, oh no, they're not there. But I mean, there's tons of evidence for it.
We had a question in the chat earlier from Crazy Backyard Chicken Man. He was asking, what do you think about the panthers?
I think it's possible. I think that if it is a panther, that it is probably maybe a mutated form of a cougar, which it's kind of the same kind of deal there. They're all kind of the same deal, but you know, as far as black panthers go, I don't know that I don't know that would be what it is. I could also see that a mountain lion could have a black color. But who knows? I mean, it could be anything. I mean, we know that panthers were in the area at some point over history. They were just all killed off.
Right.
So, and they're very elusive creatures. Both of them are. And they're all related there. I don't want to say that they're two separate things, but what I'm saying is, I think that there is a lot more to those sightings that nobody will dig into deeply than a lot of people realize. And I've dug into them quite a lot, and man, there's a lot there, and that makes you wonder sometimes about going into the woods, because you ain't going to see a mountain lion or a cougar or a panther until it's there. And then you're going to be in a situation where you don't know what to do.
Right, because they're stalking animals too, aren't they?
Yeah.
All right, another question from the chat. Let's go back to Angela. When Bigfoot is proven real, what do you hope will change first, and what do you think will?
The changes will be, there'll be regulations against the killing, and there'll be a protected species. The problem that I worry about is that it will never become real because of what it actually is. And I think that there are people within the government, not to go through some kind of conspiracy hole, but I truly think that there are people that know that what it is or what it was. So I think that they're not going to let that out, of course, because of what it could possibly be. And that's what I think. That I don't think you'll ever have a discovery. And I think that the only way that it's going to happen is if somebody accidentally runs into one or something like that, and it is a circumstance where they protected themselves and they take it somewhere safe on their own. Because if you get any officials involved, you have the potential for stuff to get very weird very quickly.
Yeah, I tell people that if I ever come across a body, I'm going to take like a finger. I'm going to call the media first. I want them to document it. Yeah, I want them to film it, put it on the news. Then I will contact
they would never put it
the
on
authorities. I want it out there where it's too late. You can't
have to go live.
You can't retract it. I would call the media first.
Don't call the media.
The crazy part about it is, the crazy thing that you could see happen is, I mean, who's safe? Who knows? I mean, you can take pictures of it. You can take video of it with AI the way that it is right now. Nobody's going to believe it unless you literally have a body or a body part that you can show. And then when you show it, it has to be tested by an institute that is trusted. And I'll tell you right now, I would almost be to the point where I'd be like, no, I got to stay with this the entire time, because things have a way of going missing and getting lost. Like, for instance, all of those giant skeletons that were dug up in the South and Smithsonian took them for study, just gone. So, I mean, it's, who knows? There's so much we don't know about just literal history in our areas.
Oh yeah, like there's no end to the discrepancies throughout history. But when it comes to Bigfoot, I mean, it's well documented that they've had them in captivity. They've had, at least we know they've had dead ones. If you talk about Mount St. Helens, then they've got live ones. And where is all of that evidence? If they wanted it to come out, it would have come out by now. They've already got it.
I think, Charlie, was it you that took the eyewitness account from, I believe, the soldier that they encountered one, and as soon as they encountered one, they put them in quarantine or whatever and was like test on them and everything. I found that so fascinating. because it's almost like they knew that there was something wrong with that creature, that it could spread to humans, that they had to make sure that it wasn't a situation there. So that tells me that they know a lot more about a lot of things that we don't know about. I mean, for instance, look at the UAP program that they said didn't exist, and they stopped it. And it turns out they didn't stop it, and they had continued to research it, and they were funding it for decades. I mean, who knows? There could be a secret group like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, we don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure. Couple of things. Hey, Gary, Lacey in the chat, good to have you. And Daneska is back, listening from the Caribbean in Guadeloupe. Welcome. Wonderful to have you back with us.
We have a listener from the Caribbean, Jeff.
Well, that's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
All right, Angela agrees. She's like, yes, go live. Don't call the media.
Well, yeah, go live. I'm just trying to come up with a method that they don't take the body or.
Do you remember that guy on YouTube that he said he got one in the freezer and he pulled the head out of the freezer and he went on YouTube and it went viral.
Yeah, it was
got
fake.
This big frozen head. I
That was
know.
fake.
Yeah.
I know, but that's almost what you'd have to do. Stick it in.
I mean,
That's
you would.
insane. Yeah.
It would almost be like winning a large sum of money with the lottery. You almost wouldn't want anybody to know, and then you could kind of control where it went, and you could do what it was. But I mean, you can't let it leave your hands. I mean, because if you let it leave your hands, it's going to go missing or something's going to happen to it. And I mean, it's the way that it is. I mean, no different than some of these people that have actually, found mountain lions or stuff, or killed mountain lions, and then the state comes in and they're like, oh, well, that was a domesticated escaped animal, that was not a wild animal. I mean, they're going to create their own narrative. So I mean, it's in this situation, I don't know that we'll ever know much. I think that it's a circumstance now where you can't trust a lot of people, and there's a lot of people out there looking for money. I think that the original Minnesota Iceman, I don't think that it exists anymore. I don't think that the one that they have in ice now is the original. I would highly speculate that it may not be. There have been some question about that, but I think that that original specimen could have been what you needed to find out what it was.
Yeah, that interesting story. Ice Road Truckers, it used to be a series on TV. They had contacted me because they wanted me to take them out squatching. They were bringing that Minnesota Iceman down to Texas, and they wanted to stop in Kentucky and wanted me on their episode. Well, I contacted Lauren Coleman, and I said, "Is this thing real?" Blah, blah. And he said, "No, that's a rubber suit now. The original's gone. Yeah. We don't know where the original went, but what they're going to show you is a rubber suit." So I told the TV series, I do not want to be a part of that because, as a researcher, you don't want to be involved with a hoax. So I denied them.
That's what I've heard too. Lauren did a whole book on it, and he gave me a copy the first year of Cryptidcon, I believe, or it could have been. I think it was Cryptidcon the first year we had him there, but he gave me a copy. But it talks about that, and that's, you can tell the differences. They're not great, but if you really study it a little bit, you can tell that it's not what it used to be, and it makes you wonder, where did that original specimen go and why did it disappear? Because that tells me that there could have been something else. And there's all these theories that. It was shot when they were filming, when Ivan Sanderson was filming one of his things and blah, blah, blah. So we really don't know a lot about the original specimen, but I've always found that so interesting. I've always found interesting too, the rock apes in Vietnam. That's some stories I love reading, because when the soldiers were over there, the American soldiers, they just seen it as part of, what was there. They didn't see it as like a Bigfoot or anything. They were like, well, these apes were throwing rocks at us and doing this and doing that. And I love hearing those accounts. I think those are some really cool accounts of something that you can deem credible, because they just seen it as part of the world over there.
Yeah. I think the government does know. I've got lots of cases where there are dead ones. One was hit by Horse Cave near Mammoth Cave, and who was it? Tom Powell wrote in his book The Locals about them hitting a Bigfoot. EMS workers ushered everybody away. 2 guys went back in the woods, were watching them bury the Bigfoot, and Tom Powell said, "Go back tomorrow." And when they went back, the Bigfoot was dug up. The Bigfoot was gone. So it's another story of the government possibly covering these things up.
Yeah, I think that's happened. I think that it's no different than aliens, and they could go hand in hand. I mean, we don't know. I mean, they could be, maybe they know what they are and where they came from, and maybe it's not where we think it is. I mean, who knows? We don't fully know anything. They're not going to tell you for sure. But I think that these things have been around for a long time. I don't think that the population is as great as they used to be, but I've also think that these creatures have gotten really good at staying hidden, no different than these big cats and things. So I mean, you just got to kind of one thing I always tell people in anything that I've spoke about is keep an open mind, and don't overthink something. Usually the answer is as logical as it can be. Like some of those conspiracy theories about anything, get logical about it. The government's not going to work real hard to do a lot. That's just been shown. So, they may cover something up, but it may not be a cover up from the point of, they're trying to hide something. It's something they've done or didn't do. So, I mean, think logically about everything. Yeah.
And how do you say her name?
Daneska.
I was asking about that. We are the apex creature on this planet. We should be smarter than them, and we should catch one or by now. But the problem is the government already has, and they deny it, and they don't want to help out.
Well,
you have other cases where the Erickson project started out legit, good stuff, but then lawyers get involved. Money gets involved, all these things get involved with it. And there's been opportunities where we might have had great evidence, like at the Erickson project, and the thing fell apart. So we've been close.
Well, money ruins everything. And one thing I do want to compliment on is humans in general have gotten dumber when it comes to certain aspects. For instance, not everybody can go out in the woods and survive for a week, because they've lost those skills. Back in the day, yeah, you could go out in the woods and you could make something out of nothing, but people just don't have those skills unless they learn them from somewhere. It's not something that we practice because we've gotten so spoiled on grocery stores and having what we need. That's one thing that we can't ever forget is when you look at humans on this planet, we're the aliens here. Everything hurts us. We can't be out in the sun without coverage. We can't swim underwater without some type of apparatus. We can't be in the cold without some type of thing to keep us warm. Everything is against us being alive and sustaining as a species. So, we can go down that rabbit hole for days, but, it's almost like we don't belong here and everything else does, but we have learned to thrive here. And it almost makes you wonder if, there's a lot of good research out there about, maybe Bigfoot has been with us a lot longer than we understand. And there's the one book that's Them Plus Us, which talks about, and I gave you that copy to read, and you looked at it, and it's cool because it talks about how that the original Neanderthals are kind of what Bigfoot would look like, is the way they describe it. And it almost makes it his theory is that some of our natural primal fears comes from that where they were predators against us, and that's why we have a fear of the dark for whatever reason. It's just primal. We're always, there's people that's got afraid of the dark. It's no reason. We don't know why we're afraid of the dark. So I mean, there's all kinds of great theories out there. It's just, who knows? They're a theory. So I mean, we don't have any scientific research to solidly back that up. So that's why I tell people is do your own research, keep an open mind, and go down every rabbit hole that you can. But some of them are way deeper than you'll ever realize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the trouble is with internet as well. The internet can be manipulated. Search engine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like Google is not the best search engine you could be using because they manipulate it just without going into too much detail.
The internet can be manipulated within minutes, within seconds,
So, and chat, it's just a tool. It shouldn't be taken as gospel truth. Chat GPT, I should say, but the waters are so muddy in this day and age. It's so hard to get to the bottom of any rabbit hole, and with all the fakes that come out and technology today with the creation of AI videos, the Bigfoot community is in turmoil in that respect. It's like you don't know what to believe ever.
Right.
Well, and you got so many people that want to make $1 off of something. And, I understand how there is a place for that in some ways. But when you don't want to mix your research and reputation on money. And, I think sometimes you get a very, very thin line there on what's right and what's wrong, and where where that happy medium is, where,
Yeah, that's a good.
I don't know.
That's a good segue into the conferences, because I defend them all the time, because people pay money for our knowledge. They want to come listen to the so-called experts who put in the years of experience, whether it's teaching at a university like the late great Dr. Meldrum, or myself that spends weekends in the woods. People want to pay money to hear about our research, and to me, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, and I've been doing conventions since 2008, and here's the thing, and here's what people have to realize: if you're going to a conference, there should be some level of educational experience in some way. It should not just be, give me your money, walk around, look at all of our trinkets and stuff in the vendor room and go home. There should be some, if you're coming for Bigfoot, for instance, or cryptids or whatever the case is, you should be able to go in there and listen to these people and network with these people and understand and share knowledge and gain an educational experience as well. Now, there are people that come, for instance, for Cryptidcon. There's 3 ways we look at things. There's a fan experience for people that want to come see people from television and things like that. There's an educational experience for people that are researchers or wanting to learn more, that come and hear from these researchers that are in the field. And then number 3 is a networking experience. You may network with a guy over here. You may network with an eyewitness as being a vendor, because I know you have tons of times you've met eyewitnesses where they were comfortable. They're not going to be comfortable approaching you in Kroger a lot of times and saying, "Hey, Charlie, I've seen Bigfoot." But at this in this environment, we have created a safe place for people. That way, they're like, "Hey, listen, I've had this experience. I don't really like telling it. Can we talk about it further?" So, I mean, that's kind of the way we do things. We try to make it where you can learn, you can come and you can enjoy yourself if that's what you're in there for, but also you can learn, you can gain knowledge, you can network. And I think that's what's important. If somebody's just out there, pulling the old circus sideshow trick, come behind this curtain and I'll show you whatever. well, then that's probably not the best way to do things. So, that, and everybody thinks conventions are easy and everybody wants to start one. And we got out of the convention business in 2014, and me and Lee and Jennifer did. And we didn't think we'd ever go back again. We were happy doing with what we were doing with doing paranormal events in different parts of the country. But then we came up with the idea to do Cryptidcon, and well, guess what? We're back in the game again. So,
Yeah.
But we've learned so much that we try to make that a positive experience for people that come. And now that we have this huge client base of people that we represent for Creepy People Management, we try to show those people to the world and not just keep them locked away somewhere. We want folks from the East Coast to get to meet people that are only usually on the West Coast. So, that's a difference that we try to do anyway.
Yeah, and it's incredible. Anybody listening, if you've never been to Cryptidcon in Lexington, it's this November. What dates again?
22nd and 23rd. And it's in Lexington, Kentucky. Yep. Yeah. Cryptidcon.com. And, you can get your ticket. We try to keep day prices very reasonable. We've got a ton of speakers and things coming. And we don't just have Bigfoot, for instance. We've got some folks coming from Skinwalker Ranch. We've got, we got Pat Spain coming. I don't even think we've announced him yet, Charlie. So you get to that before anybody and everybody listening does. But Pat Spain will be coming, and he is one that personally for me, is somebody that I'm very interested in talking to, because he's been all over the world looking for these strange creatures, and man, he's a hidden gem when it comes to stuff like that. So we've got so many people that we try to just bring in and put in that world. I mean, we've got the Huckleberry, Buck, and Wild Bill from the Mountain Monsters. There's your television aspect, which I've been spending tons of time in the woods with those guys because I'm producing their new YouTube channel, Sons of Appalachia.
Yeah.
And it's I'm telling you right now, we have been in the woods, and there have been bear in the woods with us. You hear all kinds of that's where I saw some of the lights in the woods recently, was out there when we were out there filming. They were just in the woods. So, I mean, it's some weird stuff out there sometimes. I mean, but I have been enjoying it. So I've been going to different places in the area, and we've been filming things and doing all of that. So
that's exciting. I'm glad you're doing that with them. Great guys. If you ever meet them in person, the nicest guys.
They're wonderful people, and that's one reason why that I wanted to do it for them, is I wanted to give them a second chance to share their stuff with their fans. Because, man, I'll tell you right now, there are so many people that show helped out so much, and there's been people that have come up to us at events and things and through the YouTube channel, and they've said, you've helped me with my mental illness, you helped me with the loss of a loved one, and that show gave them an outlet, and then that outlet wasn't there no more. So that kind of keeps me going when I'm out in the woods and it's 100 degrees and we're out there for 2 or 3 days and you sweat so much you don't even realize you've sweated that much, but it's the joy that it brings to folks. So I enjoy that part of it, but it's been keeping me busy. So
it's a lot of work, isn't it?
Well, that's good. I mean, because you're kind of retired now, right?
Yes. So I retired in October of 23. I went back as a special investigator for a year, and then I left again. And now I'm working in the private sector of doing IT work for a private probation company. And that's enjoyable because it's very flexible, and it's something I can just have something to do. So and then I do the Sons of Appalachia stuff too, and ghost tours and Bigfoot and Cryptidcon and everything else you can imagine. So I got plenty to, and then I've got children, and we've got a new child on the way. So I've got plenty to keep me busy. So
congratulations on the new baby.
Thank you.
When is baby due?
April of next year is.
All right.
Yep.
Got a little ways to get ready.
Now it's getting to be the spooky season. When does your ghost tour start up?
So I'm taking this year off. I've been doing them every year since 2014, but I'm going to take this year off because it's just, man, it's just a battle with everything I've got going on, and I want to take some time this year because my son is getting ready to turn 4, so I want to kind of enjoy Halloween with him at least this year, and there's some other projects I want to kind of tie up some loose ends on, but I want to kind of just enjoy this year, and then next year I'll hit hard and go after it again. But I haven't had a break in doing those for a long time, so it's just kind of it's time.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you're enjoying life some, because as you know, we just lost some people, and it seems like this year's been crazy with the people.
It has.
So you got to enjoy your family, enjoy your families, enjoy your friends. Don't take things for granted.
I feel like I owe it to them to just kind of take a break this year, because I've been gone at least once or twice a month with the guys filming. So I mean, it's still just it's kind of a job, but I mean, still, I like to have that break sometimes where all I can do is just kind of focus on what's going on, and then next year we'll back up and get going again.
That's a good plan. And I tell people this all the time. Go out, and if you want to go out, look for Bigfoot, go with some friends and family. It gets you off of technology. It gets you to unwind, relieve stress. It's the best thing to get out in nature. A lot of times nothing happens, but you get to, just relax. And
Cliff calls it, Cliff always says it's hiking with a purpose.
Right.
So and it does, it gets you out in the woods. I'll tell you some of the stuff that I've experienced in the woods, just going out looking for Bigfoot. I saw a beaver in the wild, and I'd never seen a beaver like in the wild. And I thought that was so fascinating that, I was walking through the woods and I kept hearing the sound, and I went toward the river, and there a beaver was. It was just sitting there eating on a log, and then it jumped into the river and swam away. And I was like, I know it's a beaver and it shouldn't be that fascinating, but the most of the time you only get to see wildlife is in zoos or game farms or something.
Well,
so I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I've seen so many fallen stars that, so many shooting stars out in the woods. You see, I mean, it's just, you got to experience the wild. It's the best.
Yeah, it's that time of year too. It's getting cooler out. Look up, before I forget, look up Jeff Foxworthy in the beaver story about the guys that found a dead beaver. It is so funny. I'm not going to tell it.
I'll have to watch that. I'll tell you too, some things for people to remember this time of year, especially if you're in our area, is copperheads are out this time of year pretty strong, and then coyotes, it's getting ready to be their breeding season. So, just be aware when you're in the woods of what you're around. Because, if don't go looking so curious when you hear a sound that you don't know what it is, because you may run upon something you don't want to find.
Yeah, that's true.
Shout out to Sasquatch Chronicles. Wes was in the chat. He may have gone already. It looks like he's got a call. Probably a Bigfoot witness.
You need to bring Wes in sometime as a guest speaker.
I want to have him. We can't get in touch with him. I want Wes at Cryptidcon. So Wes, if you're seeing this, or you see this at any point in time, find me, get a hold to Charlie. He'll get, we want you as a guest at Cryptidcon, 100%.
He would be an amazing guest. And I interviewed him.
We should get him on the show too.
Years ago.
Wes, does he want to come on the show?
I think before Sasquatch Chronicles, I took his Bigfoot report years ago. I think it's on my website somewhere under other states.
It is?
Yeah, we would love to have Wes 100% at Cryptidcon.
Right.
So that is an open invite. So
Okay,
I would love to have him there.
I'll mention that to him for sure.
Everybody get Wes back. All right, we better.
Well, let's wrap this up.
Wrapping it up.
Yeah, we could probably go for a longer time. I mean, there's so much stuff we could talk about, but
people are saying it in the chat too. It's just never enough time.
We'll do next time, Jeff. We'll have you on again, hopefully. And what I want to hear more next time are some of your stories, your witnesses that you've interviewed, some of your experiences. I know you recorded a great vocalization out there near where we go.
And I'll tell you a trick to that, and what I did there that may help people that are looking at things. If you can find you a really nice, durable recorder, and I use a Sony for that purpose, tape it to a tree, leave it for 24 or 48 hours, let it long record, drop it in a nice audio editing software, and look for the sounds. That's how I've gotten some cool stuff. I mean, because it's just out there, you're not out there.
Is that how you got that howl?
Yeah, that's how I got it.
Oh, wow. That's a really good one too.
I literally took that recorder and I laid it on the side of the road and covered it up with leaves. And I just set it there for 24 hours. And then I went back and got it.
And that's how
that's how I got it.
How can people listen to that if they wanted to go find it?
It ain't anywhere. So I mean, that's
you need to get it
a lot of my research is nowhere. So
I know. Jeff is very humble, very modest. He has a lot of research he doesn't share. I'm kind of the opposite. I can't wait to share stuff. I mean,
I've got it. It's just I've got it all on a hard drive, and it's all kind of categorized, and it's there. I now if I do presentations or something, I'll have it in there. But that's what I tell people a lot of times. I'm like, you can't find this on the internet. It's simply you are hearing it here. That's the way I do a lot of my ghost stuff that I've done. Is I hate having it out there for everybody because sometimes people steal things or whatever and make it their own, and
we just had that.
It is what it is.
Real. Before you go, last question from me. I don't think there's anything else in the chat, but have you seen a ghost, Jeff? Because I know you're big into paranormal stuff.
I've probably seen about 9 that I would say were full apparitions.
Oh my God.
And I'll tell you something about that is out of all 9 that I've seen, none of them looked and acted the same. They were all different. So that makes me think that it is in fact just energy and manifestations of energy in some way, because I've seen some as solid as us sitting there that look solid, couldn't see through them, whatever the situation is there. I've seen some that are totally see-through. I've seen some that are wisp, almost look like smoke. I've seen some that are so fast. So, I mean, but you got to also realize that I've been to some of the most haunted places in the entire country with doing Nick's tour, with doing the Nick Groff tour. And it puts you into places where they're highly active. And that's why you get to experience that stuff. So, these places that you see on television, I mean, they're legit. No matter what the show is or not, the location is legitimate. I mean, it's active. But, it's just being in the right place at the right time. And you never get used to it. Out of all the ghosts that I've seen or heard, you never get used to it. And I think that's why they're so hard to catch on camera, just like Bigfoot. You are so shocked and your brain is trying to process it so much that you don't know what you can't function.
Going into those places, do you kind of put any protection around yourself? Because I'd be super worried about picking up some kind of negative entity and taking it home with me.
No, and I tell people this all the time. I keep a positive mindset, so I don't open myself up to being fearful of being there or saying, oh, well, something's going to come home with me or this or that. I keep a positive mindset from pretty much the standpoint of whatever's there cannot come with me. And it's no different than saying a prayer or wearing something. All that is changing your thoughts. I mean, it's not really, no matter what people think or believe or do, it's not putting a huge umbrella over you where you're protected. It's changing your mindset where you feel protected and you have that circumstance of protection. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I keep a positive mindset, and whatever other people need to do the same, I'm not going into a place scared to death. I mean, I know what I'm looking for. So I know I'm looking for a ghost. So if I see a ghost or find evidence of a ghost, well, then great, I found evidence of a ghost. Now, it may shock or stun you at the time, but I'm not going to go in there and be scared to death. That's just not the way that it works. But it is a certain way of doing things. I mean, stuff does linger sometimes. I have a number of haunted objects that are not allowed in the house.
Right.
The wife don't allow those in the house. They have to stay in the garage. And I have a nice office at work now, so I put my haunted stuff there. So I haunt another place with them. It's my boss. My boss is like, "What did you bring in now?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's just this." So
this is Raggedy Ann doll.
It's just this possessed clown figurine. It's nothing major. But I always like to see how normal people react to the paranormal, because it's just been such a part of my life for so long that it's normal to me now. Yeah. But I mean, ghosts are what they are. They exist, and that's what. Once you see a ghost, and you know that it's what you think it is, it changes your thought process on everything else. So, that would be no different than seeing Bigfoot. It would change the way that you view everything, because everything that you were told is not the way that it is. So there's not just a nice cut and dry thing. You know what I'm saying? So there's not a nice, oh, it's this or it's that or this happens or that happens. It's a whole lot bigger than that now.
Yeah, I think that's what with Bigfoot too. It's a mystery. And I think that's why we do what we do. There's so many questions, and it's exciting. It's thrilling. There's a lot of evidence for both ghost hunting and Bigfoot hunting. A lot of great stuff out there. So I encourage everybody, get out there, go to areas, whether you're Bigfooting, looking for ghosts. It's a lot of fun.
Go to a graveyard, kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, go to a graveyard.
There you go.
Bigfoot sightings,
And I'll tell you something that if anybody ever has the opportunity to come to something where I'm speaking or doing a ghost thing or whatever, I try to make it educational for people. Because even when we did the Nick Groff tour at all these different places, we would bring in a couple of celebrity investigators and we would cycle the groups through. Well, I was one of the leaders of the groups. I'm not on television or anything. So what I would try to do is teach them something and share some knowledge with them. And, I'm not on TV. So that, a lot of times if it's a TV person, they just sit there and watch them investigate because they're enthralled. But I try to educate them on things because, I've had the great privilege of learning from some really great people in the paranormal field. So I try to share some of that knowledge and try to open their eyes to different things.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, I know it's getting late. We want to thank you so very, very much for coming on the show.
Thank you all for having me.
Yeah, I know a lot of people enjoyed it. There wasn't enough time. We'll hopefully have you back on again and talk more about some actually, some actual cases where you investigated Bigfoot or other cryptids.
Yeah, we can do that for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jeff. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Do you want to talk about what you're doing this weekend?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
What's that noise?
That's Bigfoot.
Something's out our window. We live out here.
It's bloody cat again.
We live out here in a remote area now on the other side of the
Oh,
Red
yeah.
River Gorge, and it's pitch black. There's no neighbors, and we just saw a full-grown bear, just a couple months ago. But coyotes, just some crazy stuff out here. And something was on our window. It was a cat.
Well, make sure you watch the dogs in October with the coyotes, because they get very brave in that month, because the males tend to roam a little more than they generally do. So, wild animal attacks and pet attacks go up in that time frame.
Yep, we will. Well, thank you again, Jeff. Have a good night, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you all for having me, and we'll do this again sometime. You just let me know.
Okay, I will,
All
Jeff.
right. Good night.
Good night.
See you later.
Bye.
All right, guys. Well, did you talk about, while I was outside trying to get the cat, did you tell everybody what you're doing this weekend?
Oh, this weekend. We will be in Norton, Virginia at the Woodburger Festival. And it's all day Saturday, Friday night, tomorrow night. They're showing the Legend of Boggy Creek in the little theater. It's free. And then Mike from, what is it? Hunt the Big Red Eye. He'll be joining me. We'll be doing a Q&A session after the Legend of Boggy Creek. So that's Friday night, and then all day Saturday we'll be at the Woodburger Festival. Every weekend there's a festival. Seems like it's that time of year. So
hopefully we'll get to see some of you guys there.
Yeah, thank everybody
Sounds like it'll be fun.
Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next Thursday.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night, everybody.